Hey PJs, welcome back to another video. Today I'm starting a mini series called Slime Breakdown. Basically, I'm just going to be going through every texture that we know of so far, like better ways to play with them, I guess, their strengths, their weaknesses, stuff like that. And I'm doing this because a lot of you guys have been in my comments asking about specific textures, how to play with them, what's the difference between this one and that one, and like what to do with them. And some of you guys are like, maybe I would like a texture more if I knew how to play with them. So that's what I'm doing in these types of videos. This isn't to say, hey, you're playing with a slime wrong. This is just to help you guys differentiate between textures, and maybe you'll find ones that you want to try. And of course, I really hope this video helps. As you saw in the title, I'm going to be doing regular slimes in this first video. So regular slimes are ones that are just those plain school glue type of slimes. Not exactly plain, but they don't have really any add-ins in them. And they're just kind of like basic slimes. So what better way to start than to start with the most basic of basic slimes. This is just a regular white glue slime. You're gonna see these for like anybody that like just started making slime and they just kind of want to have a slime. You're not really going to see them in shops unless it comes with a clay piece or has something more to add to it, because it really is a basic slime. It serves the purpose of a slime. You can play with it, it stretches, all those things, but there's not really any like focal point with this type of slime. It's just kind of there. Since it is just a basic slime though, there really isn't any drawbacks to it. It's good for pokes. It has some good bubble pops to it, different types of bubble pops. It is kind of holdable. It has like a slightly jiggliness to it when you play with it. It does slightly inflate and get like a foamy feel to it, so that's kind of cool. If you are wanting this type of slime though, like I said, a lot of slime shops don't offer these because they are just like pretty plain and they're not going to be super popular. So you're probably going to have to make it yourself, but there's not a lot of ways you can go wrong with making this type of slime. There's also really no drawbacks to this type of slime either, since it is so plain. With a lot of other textures, you're going to hear me talk about the fact that like it is so forward in a specific type of way to play with the slime that like a different way is kind of not its strong suit. This one really doesn't have any strong or weak suits, so you can really play with it however you like. There's not like a generic way, I guess. So this is like a texture that would be good for everybody because you can really play with it in your own style and it's not going to change much, if that makes sense. I almost always have a plain slime like this one on hand because every once in a while I'll get kind of almost overstimulated by all of the different textures that I'm trying all the time since I'm reviewing slime. So I like to keep this one as like a grounding for me because then I get to play with it and like its simplicity kind of calms me. It's smooth and like bubbly and stuff, and just like the fact that there's nothing super special in it, there's no add-ins or anything, just the simplicity is a nice thing to go back to every once in a while. It might be a nostalgic thing, especially for me. I've been part of the slime community pretty much since it began, like when it got like super big, like back in 2016 or so. So it might be nostalgic, but it's just so nice to play with. From there, we go into a less plain slime. This is a cereal milk slime, and I thought it would be good to just use parakeet slimes as an example, since as far as I know, she is the original creator of cereal milk slimes. The best way I can describe these, since it is an in-between texture, is it's like an in-between from the slime I just showed you and a thick and glossy slime, which I'm going to show you next. It's like semi-thick, pretty glossy, which is kind of what it's known for, and obviously cereal milk themed. I'm not even sure why it's called a cereal milk slime, like where it got its name from. Most of them, like a thick and glossy slime is called that because it's thick and glossy. I don't know why it's called a cereal milk slime, and maybe one of you guys would know because I would love to know as well. But that's just what it's called. This texture doesn't differ too much from the previous one, at least in playstyle terms. It, at least in my experience, is usually stretchier, glossier, and then semi-thick instead of like that thin texture that like a regular school glue slime is. So those are some good things, but in playstyle terms, you really just kind of play with it the exact same way. I would say the bubble pops might sound slightly different since it is a semi-thick type of slime, so they might be a bit louder. You might get some more out of them, but when you inflate it, it still has that foaminess to it. It's still like really stretchy. You can kind of hold it because, you know, it's not like runny or anything. It's got good pokes, and just another versatile slime that I would recommend for anyone to try because you can really play with it anyway. Similarly to the previous texture, it also really doesn't have any drawbacks because it is still like a more plain slime, just slightly different. So there's not too much that you can really go wrong with this one either. I would say it's a lot harder of a texture to create, and there's many different ways to do it. Sometimes it has clear glue in it, sometimes it has glycerin in it, sometimes it has both, sometimes it has neither. You just kind of have to play around with it until you get the texture the way you want it, which I guess is most textures, but I find this one to be kind of tricky because I feel like the recipe for it is still kind of unknown. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is how you make a cereal milk slime, but it's like still slightly different than other cereal milk slimes. It's just one of those ones that differs so much depending on where you get it from. And speaking of which, unlike the last one, this one is going to be a lot easier to find if you don't want to make it yourself. There are plenty of shops out there that make cereal milk slimes and various variations of them. Some of them have add-ins and some of them are more plain like this one. But you won't have to make it if you don't want to. I see quite a few shops making them. And the last texture that I'm going to be covering in this video is a thick and glossy slime. And for this one, I'm using a slime that I just reviewed in last week's video. If you haven't checked out that review, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is a 100% underrated shop. But anyways, this is a thick and glossy slime, and this is where you're really going to get into the textures that are different. There's specific ways that you can play with them that is going to help, like, I don't know, maybe more appreciate the texture, but that doesn't sound right. It's just like better ways to play with it, but I swear there's no like true wrong way to play with slime. Don't feel intimidated. This is just tips, I promise. Anyways, a thick and glossy slime is exactly what it sounds like. It is a slime that is thick and glossy, so that is what it's known for. These are typically made with glue all, maybe some wood glue, so those two are just thicker glues, so it's going to make a thicker slime. It usually has some lotion in it to help with stretchiness, maybe glycerin to help with the stretchiness and to add to that glossiness. And since it is a thick texture, it's like different than the other two. So the other two had a lot of similarities to them. This one, like I mentioned, is where it really gets different. So unlike the other two, this type of texture has its strengths and weaknesses. Starting with its strengths is really going to rely on its title as well because of how thick and glossy it is. So this one is one that is recommended to a lot of people that haven't tried slime before, and it's because of how thick it is. So it is less prone to melting. It's not going to stick to your hands as easy, and it's really good for just holding it, like folding it around in your hands and stuff, and it's really not going to stick to you very much. It also has really good bubble pops, like them really loud, thick ones. It also inflates a decent amount, which I feel like a lot of people don't talk about, but you will see it in a little bit, like how much it does inflate, and it's actually pretty wild. I don't know why it inflates so much since it is just a thick and glossy slime. It doesn't have like anything in it that's actually meant for inflating, but for some reason it does. And this type of texture is also really good for pokes because, again, it's just kind of loud and it keeps its shape when you poke it. Now for the weaknesses, and the first one is one like I don't hear people talk about either, and that is the bubble pops. Sometimes they are just so thick that it will actually fling slime, and I've gotten it in my eyes, in my hair, on my shirt, my pants, my table, my lights. It will fling across the room, go on the carpet. It's just that like the bubble pops are so thick that the slime will separate and like fling everywhere, so be careful about that. The other is super simple. Since it is thick, it usually has less stretchiness to it. You just have to kind of warm it up a little bit, be a little more patient with it, and it will stretch. It just has less stretch than normal. And with that, that is the end of this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this type of video is helping you guys with slimes, how to play with them, what questions you have, and if you have any extra questions about these types of textures in particular, I am more than happy to help you in the comments. And let me know what section of textures I should cover next. Now I am signing off, and I will see you guys in the next one.